And you're live.
All right. I will call this meeting to order. It's the Board of Supervisors of Elections. It is Thursday, April 17th at 2025 at 7 p.m. So roll call, Debbie Yatsick.
Here.
Leah Mercer.
Here.
And Eileen Leahy, myself here. We're also being joined by Teresa Buccalo and also Regina Watkins Eldridge. So it's a holiday weekend, so glad everybody's here. Public comments submitted. You don't have anything other than what I received, right, Regina? Okay, I did receive something through Alderwoman Karma O'Neill about a constituent that was asking about nonpartisan elections and also about open primaries. And so Regina has asked me to respond to Alderwoman O'Neill. So I will do that, but I just got it yesterday. So, but it was someone that was just interested in finding out about it and also was asking about, actually, she didn't ask about mail-in ballots. It's just nonpartisan and also open primary. So I will forward that. Approval of minutes for our March meeting.
Well, I have an update.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, before we move on, can I
Sure.
ask about that same topic? It was an inquiry about the legality of using nonpartisan elections. What I guess I was just curious if an inquiry or a recommendation, I guess.
It was an email.
It was an email just asking about them, just saying they were wondering about nonpartisan elections, which is something that has come up on a number of occasions. The task force has recommended it. The charter commissions have recommended it. At this juncture, the city council has not moved forward on nonpartisan elections. It could be a ballot question, either initiated by city council or initiated by voters.
Okay, so there's a question about how that could happen.
She was really just expressing her opinion that she would be interested in nonpartisan elections.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay. All right. Approval of minutes. Any changes? Debbie, you have the editorial eye, so did you see anything for the minutes?
Muted.
I think she has her mute.
Yeah, I was hearing a buzzing and our garage door shuts at 7 and it was noisy. So I went mute.
Okay.
Yes, the minutes looked good to me. Thank you for taking them.
Anything from you, Liam?
Nope, looks good to me.
They looked okay to me too. Can I have a motion to approve?
Yeah. I move that we accept the minutes of our, what was it, March 20th meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right, update from the city clerk.
Okay, I have a couple of things. I just wanted to let you know that the Annapolis redistricting street files were updated in the Maryland voters.
Oh, great.
And that was done. And it was also sent to the city, and Sean Wampler is going to do a final review on it just to make sure that everything lines up correctly. So that was sent to her on Thursday. We also made a correction, thank you, Debbie, to the polling place and Dropbox list. We had a copy, but the website kind of holds on to what we had last year. So we sent the updated one for this election, and some kind of way it chopped it up, but we did replace it. So the new form is up. We also, I can tell you the date that the applications for a mail-in ballot will be possibly mailed to the citizens. They will be mailed out on or around July 17th of 2025.
Okay.
Yes, so, and that's the end of my update. Oh, and I'm sorry. As for the changes the legislature made to elections, that is going to be provided to you by Ashley. She said she wanted to review them before she talks to you
Okay.
about. And she is
Okay.
on vacation this week, so she will do that at your next meeting.
Okay. Okay, and I guess she'll update us on the MOU at that point.
Well, I can update you on the MOU. The MOU between the state and the city is moving. There was some feedback from the state through the county to the city, and Ashley made some comments. I made some comments. We sent them back over. They're going to send over an additional document after their side has reviewed it, and that should be going with very soon, moving very soon.
Continued review. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they're probably adjusting to the legislative changes that went into effect on April 8th.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments for Regina?
Yeah, on the last topic, the legislative changes. So are you saying that we are pursuing an MOU with the state?
We have to. We're
Oh.
we're too close, and they are going to allow us to do it, even though some of the deadlines we're past them, but we're too close to our election to make any changes in any
Okay.
For any other way to produce our election at this
Are you
time.
talking, but Liam, are you talking about the change that involves the polling machines?
I was just curious because it was my understanding that we generally only have an MOU with
The county.
and so we now are able to have an MOU with the state. Or are you saying the legislation required that we have an MOU with the state?
The legislation did require that we have a MOU with the state.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that there is no MOU with the county, or
it's just the county? This county is under the state, so it's kind of like the same thing.
so it basically just replaces Anne Arundel County's
Yes, they don't have the authority to say yes to us. We have to get that from the state.
Right. I think that's probably a final review, a second review.
Gotcha. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it.
But there's always been an MOU, right?
Exactly.
So it really doesn't change anything.
That is correct.
Yeah. So because the county and the state are kind of at one.
Yes.
Right. But I think some of the legislation is saying the county's not necessarily the final word.
Exactly.
It goes to the goes to the state for a second review. That's my understanding. But
well, actually, the state is in the legislation. From what I do know, in the future, if you want to have the county assist you in producing your election, you have to contact the state first, and you have to meet their deadlines to do that before they even consider allowing the county to work with you.
Right. It's kind of just a different review process than what we've done in the past. So
yeah,
all of the county machines are owned by the state, so it's basically the state reclaiming control of their property, essentially.
Actually, you are correct.
Right. Okay. All right. Good discussion. So moving along, new business is we have one certificate of candidacy. So Madeline, if you want to bring Miss Makel in, I hope I'm saying her name correctly. Makel?
Corinne, Miss Mackle hasn't shown up.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we can go ahead, and if she comes in and has any questions, we can answer them then. So we have a certificate of candidacy for Corinne Mackle for Alderwoman of Ward 4. Everybody have a chance to review the application?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Any concerns, omissions, questions?
I think her name is pronounced Makel.
Makel. Okay.
Makel.
I did not see any errors, and I did not have any concerns.
Okay. Debbie, are you good?
Yeah, but it cut the name of her organization I thought was a company.
Right.
But it's clever, it's cute.
Yeah, I did mean to ask one of the questions, is that just her campaign, or is that another group that she's involved with?
the name of her organization is Makel's Community Builders.
Right. So
And-
it's
Yeah,
usual for a campaign, but I would want to, I guess the question I would have is is it used for anything other than,
She had to register that with the state to fill out her certificate of candidacy. So I would have to assume that that is the name for her campaign.
right? My question though is, does she use it for other things? I don't know. I don't think that it holds, I don't think it delays necessarily the certificate of, well, it could, I guess. I mean, that's, I don't want to hold it up, but that would be a question that I would have. Because it is a bit unusual, but, so I think moving forward, we can assume it's just her campaign. Any questions or comments other than that?
this might be the time to ask a question that came to me. So a candidate, it's basically, when does a candidate become a candidate?
Well, let's just focus on this. And then we
Okay,
can go.
that's
Okay.
fine.
No concerns here. I can move.
Oh, sure.
I can move to approve the certificate of candidacy of Corinne Eve Maple. Did I say that right?
That's fine.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, so moved. All right, now what was your question, Debbie?
When does a candidate become a candidate? Because we have had candidates announce and it's been publicized in the press before they've done a certificate of candidacy. So I know a certificate of candidacy makes them a candidate, but you can be a candidate before you file a certificate, right?
No.
My understanding is you're not a candidate in the legal sense with the city until you file a
Yes.
campaign application and it's approved.
That is correct.
I mean,
Okay.
people can call themselves, and that's been something that actually has been raised with the reporter for the Capitol. And I think in her last review about candidates, I think she actually did mention someone who said they were running but hadn't filed their paperwork yet.
Right. I mean, we've had a couple articles in the press this, for this election of people saying they're running and declaring they're running, but we don't have their certificate.
Correct. Now, if someone says they're a candidate and they've started collecting money before they've put in their candidacy and then they decide to drop it, that's an issue that needs to be dealt with. So to my knowledge, there's only one who has said publicly he was a candidate that hasn't applied for candidacy.
Do we have LSUPs? Jackie? Didn't she was in the press.
We
Oh, we
did
did
we do
vote on
this
that.
also?
Yes, we did.
Luckily, yeah.
We've
But
done
we
it.
have hers?
Yes.
It's
Okay.
Mr. Sells who is in the paper and through the grapevine, I've heard that he isn't necessarily running. So I think that's all the other candidates who've announced or have come forth. So hopefully we'll have some more. It would be nice to have some Republicans and any other unaffiliated if,
Republicans, we don't we don't like it here.
what do you mean you don't like it
No.
here?
We're
You're the board members. You shouldn't be going down this rabbit hole, people.
okay.
It's not
I'll
good.
come back up for breath.
Thank
All right.
you.
So anything else? So that's been approved. All right, moving on to old business. Hopefully this is the final draft of the campaign fund report procedures. There may be some little dings. I know there's probably some formatting issues. And some links that need to be put in. Alexis was on vacation this week. So I was going to have her take a look. Biggest change, and I wanted to get your feedback, is one of the things I tried to do is if there was a definition, to include the definition. And Ashley recommended on Schedule 3 since we don't have a definition for disbursements, but we do have one for expenditures, her recommendation was that we change the name of that schedule to expenditures and transfers. And I wanted to get your feedback on that change because we did not discuss that at the last meeting.
I'm in support of that change. There's a word on the thing itself if we do make the change. The document itself says schedule the disbursements, but I'm in support of the change. I think it makes sense.
Okay. So I changed it on this most recent, and I also changed it, I thought I changed it on the summary sheet. Debbie, your thoughts?
Yeah, so Schedule 1, contributions and receipts, under the title, we say excluding transfers, loans, and in-kind, right? We're
Right, I guess I
excluding
jumped ahead.
transfers, loans, and in-kind on Schedule 1.
Okay, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead, so I'm on Schedule 3.
Okay,
Oh, I was just.
right,
I
so
can go- I
Schedule
can go
2
back
is
to
loans, and Schedule 3, yeah, just says disbursements now, but it used to say disbursements and transfers.
Right, so Schedule 3, if it's expenditures and transfers, okay? I'm just looking at that one right now.
So what was sent just said disbursements.
The one that you had before, yes, but the
No,
one I
well-
just updated.
The one that just came out, the one that came out from you like yesterday.
Oh, I sent you the wrong one, then I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just said
I have an issue with
disbursements.
that.
Last month it said disbursements and transfers,
Right,
and now it'll say expenditures and transfers.
yes.
Okay.
So if Ashley were here, Ashley was talking about necessarily taking the transfers out, but I was hesitant to do that because that is a specific area. So I did take out the part about the political action committee. So it should be in there, just says expenditures and transfers. It gives the definition of expenditure. And then it says a transfer is a monetary contribution made by one political committee to another. So what's odd about it is that when a political committee, when a candidate, I always get this wrong, and Regina, you'll have to help me. If a campaign is making a contribution to another candidate, it's a transfer. It's not an expenditure. Now, when the candidate receives that money, it's considered a contribution. Does that make sense? So that's why it's transfers here. It used to be on the loans, but we moved it out of the loans because it actually in the old schedules used to be in loans and it was in Schedule 2 and in Schedule 3. And rather have it in two places, the thought was to just put it in one.
So Eileen, are you saying the transfer from one, say, campaign to another campaign will be listed on Schedule 3 as a transfer?
Mhm.
And then on Schedule 1, it will also be listed as a contribution?
For the people that received it. So if I was a candidate and I wanted to support your campaign and I gave you $500, I would put it in Schedule 3 as a transfer, which is a separate column. And then when you received it on your campaign report, you would put it in as a contribution.
That's good. All right, that answers a question I had then about transfers noted on Schedule 1 and then also on Schedule 3. So you're looking at the transfer as the giver and the receiver,
Right.
and it goes in two places. Okay, all right, because transfers is explained in both places, Schedule 1 and 3.
Right. It is confusing.
Yeah.
we're actually trying to make it a little simpler. So unfortunately, the way contributions, the definition of a contribution includes the word transfer.
It does, you're right.
That's just the way. So it is a transfer, but the way they report it is as a contribution here. The person receiving it it's a contribution. The person giving it, it's a transfer on the disbursement side or the expenditure side. Does that make sense to everybody?
I understand. Yes.
I mean, we've really tried, and I like all the additional information we've added, to explain and explain. I guess we'll find out on the questions we get or the errors we find as we go through the reports, but
Right. Well, some of the definitions were in the old instructions. I just tried to move it into so it was in, the appropriate
spot.
place. Right.
Yeah.
So, so contributions and receipts, and then it does note that loans are to be reported on Schedule 2. We didn't really change anything on the description in terms of the codes. Then Schedule 2, it just makes, just puts its get transfers. I guess transfers are now reported on Schedule 1. I guess I should put in there transfers. Should I put in something like transfers received from the candidate are now reported? As opposed to saying, right now we have transfers are now reported. I'm on page 2. Right now there's a notation. I think that was meant just to say it's not listed here. So I could put transfers. Transfers received by a campaign are now reported on Schedule 1. Does that make sense?
We're on page 2 of the
Page
instructions
2 under Schedule 2.
under Schedule 2. Okay.
I mean, as a treasurer, when I was a treasurer, if I had a transfer from another campaign, my inclination would be to put it on the transfer page, even though we are receiving it. I would still think of it as a transfer, not a contribution is more of a, personal contribution. So to me, having two definitions of transfer, one for the giver, one for the receiver, one on Schedule 3, one on Schedule 1, is kind of confusing.
Well, we've actually, what's happened in the past is that Schedule 2 has said loans and transfers. And then it gets confusing because it doesn't show up in the contributions. And yet there used to be a line for it. There used to be a column for it. So the question was, if you were receiving the money, did you put it in Schedule 1 or did you put it in Schedule 2?
I would have put it in 2.
Right, because it said loans and transfers.
Right.
But because the definition includes transfer, and it's really a receipt of money,
It
the
is.
thought was we keep it in Schedule 1 and you only have one choice. You can't, because some people would put it in Schedule 1 because there was a column for it. Some people would put it in Schedule 2.
Maybe I could recommend in the instructions it say something to the effect of contributions from incoming transfers are now reported on Schedule 1. Is that
right? And I can put that up in you want that in Schedule 1, or I have it right now in Schedule 2. I can add where it currently says transfers are now reported on Schedule 1. I can put in transfers received by a campaign are now reported on Schedule 1.
Yeah, that's what that's exactly what I was saying. This is the latter, just to.
And we took transfers off of the title.
Right. And when you don't qualify incoming or outgoing transfers, that's where I think the confusion comes in. So if we just say incoming transfers are now reported on Schedule 1 as a contribution or as it, yeah.
Right.
I think we're on the same page there. It's just clarifying that it's
Okay.
outgoing.
And then if you look under Schedule 3, when you go down under that and it has transfers, it says transfers to other funds, you insert candidate or campaign name. So that's where they would put it. Does that make sense, Debbie, or
Yeah.
you want to explain more, or?
No, so Schedule 2 will just be loans.
Right.
Schedule 3, expenditures and transfers. Transferred to other funds. Yeah.
Okay. And so then moving down to Schedule 4, outstanding obligations, and I don't know how it missed it being included in one of the prior reviews, but that's in there, and then Schedule 5, and so there were no recommended changes to those.
Yep.
Okay.
So schedule 2 is really for loans, outgoing loans made to other political action committees or campaigns.
To this campaign. So if someone says, I'll give you $500, but it's a loan, not a contribution, it goes into Schedule 2.
Okay.
Sometimes candidates will give a personal loan to their campaign with the expectation they'll be able to get that money back.
Right. So after that initial reporting period, if the loan is unpaid, it will move to schedule, or is the loan has not been paid back, it moves to Schedule 4.
Right. And that's not something that we've necessarily followed through on. That's actually been the way it's supposed to have been, but hasn't necessarily followed through. So that'll be a little bit of a change. The other thing that we changed a couple of years ago with the loans was that you had to have a statement signed by all the parties indicating what the agreement is.
Okay.
Because sometimes loans were made. We have a few years ago, we had a loan made to a campaign that a candidate made to the campaign, and then the campaign was closed, and then they wanted the money. It gets confusing, but I think this explains it. And then the idea is that once it moves to an outstanding obligation, and things change, then that needs to be documented.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So, and one of the things we've encouraged, there's a couple of candidates that have outstanding loans, is if you have money in your campaign to pay the loan, but I don't believe there's anything in code saying they have to do that. Would you agree with that, Regina? So,
I agree, but I have another question. So basically, everyone who you've certified to run so far has
Right.
already started collecting money and
Okay.
putting their money on these different forms. But
Okay.
now you're approving different language. What happens when they turn in their form and their form doesn't have the language you're still working on today? They didn't follow the language that you guys are approving today.
Well,
because
they have until July 1 to look at it, but I don't think there's going to be I mean, if we can deal with that if people have questions and all, but we're not really changing a whole lot except for transfers, which if they're filling out the form, there's just not a spot for it on loans anymore. It's only in contributions and receipts.
No, I don't think you understand my question. They already have like an Excel form, Excel
Okay.
spreadsheet that
Okay.
they're working from.
Okay. And okay.
So my question to you is, if you guys are making changes and they've already started putting things on schedule, what they call their schedule 2, 3, 4, or whatever, how do you adjust when they turn in their report to due in August?
Well, if you're talking about the spreadsheets,
Yes.
we have asked many times for the spreadsheets to follow what the categories are. So if they're submitting a spreadsheet that follows the categories that we have, even if they've not necessarily changed, and you can change a spreadsheet pretty easily. I mean, the problems we have with most of the spreadsheets that are sent in is that they're incomplete. So if some of these columns are different, the information should be there. They just have to title it differently. But if they send us something in and it has all the information, I mean, I think we can probably accept it. But we're keeping the information. We've just kind of reformatted it a little bit differently. I'm not sure that answers your question, but
I mean, it seems like if what's really going to change is the titles, and if a candidate needs to move a a line item from one thing to another thing in an Excel form, that takes like 2 seconds.
yeah, I mean,
I think my question is, we have to get this approved and finalized at some point,
right.
so we can make sure that everybody's aware with the new terms, the new codes that are currently not on the version on the website.
Well, these will only help them in terms of, let me take, the codes should help them because right now they have O's and then they're supposed to put in something for O. So this gives them an opportunity to look. So if they do an O and they give us a description, that should be fine. If, as Liam was saying, if column B is now moved to column C on a spreadsheet, they should be able to move that over. We've actually made the form simpler, not more complex. I mean, if you compare them.
But I think to Regina's point that we do have to get it done so that there's time to make the changes before the July reporting period. But to Eileen's point, we have till the first reporting period is sometime in July.
August.
In August, so
The first one's July.
2 months is a lot of time to be able to format to your expenses and contributions, right? Like we have there's still plenty of time. We should wrap this up, but there's also plenty of time. I think that's kind of, that's kind of where I see this.
Okay.
I mean, the first one's July. We have one for July 1st, correct, Regina?
No.
Oh, it's not until August?
We have one in August. We only have campaign fund reports due July 1 in non-election years.
Okay. Well, I mean, to your point.
No, I just want everybody to be on the same plane. And when this gets done, we want to notify everybody as to the new codes that you added, the new titles of the page sections. We just want to make sure that we save some time.
Right. I mean, to your point, that's the reason I also wanted to get the candidate handbook out before July 28th, but we've already decided that's going out later. So certainly if anybody has questions, we're happy to answer them. And I agree with you, we need to get it out there, but I don't think it's going to be too difficult. And again, they can still put in their own spreadsheets. As long as the information's there, they can still put in their own Excel spreadsheet. Correct? I mean, you saw that that's in the instructions.
Yeah. Well, I think you're still not getting what I'm saying. I'm saying that people have started a year ago.
I understand that, but I don't think it's, and maybe this is just my bias, I don't think it's that difficult a change. If they don't want to change to what our categories are, but the information's still there, then we'll just deal with that.
Okay.
but we're not really, we're if nothing else, we're simplifying it. But hopefully we're not going to be having all these amended reports all the time when we get these spreadsheets that don't have headings on them, don't have totals on them. I mean, the whole idea with this is to simplify it, and it's going to be an adjustment, but I think if nothing else, hopefully we're making it simpler. And you're right, we need to get the word out.
Okay.
Anything else? So,
Regarding the election calendar, I was perusing it just to wrap my head around it. And yeah, August 18th is the first campaign finance report. But my question was and I'm glad to know July 17 will be the the request for a mail-in ballot will go out to all registered voters. People can still register after that point, but that will be mailed out. And then the deadline to receive an application for a mail-in ballot is September 8 is Friday, September 12th. So the application will go out on July 17 and they have plenty of time to return it. They have to return it
so
by the
Debbie,
end of the day on Friday, September 12th. But then the election is on Tuesday, the 16th.
Debbie,
So
can we talk about the election calendar once we get the campaign fund report done?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
That's all right. Let's get that done. Okay, because you'll probably be some other questions. Okay, Schedule 4, Schedule 5. Can we just all look briefly at the summary?
And I put mine away already. I'm good with it.
Okay, so we've added the filing type and then,
You
Added.
bolded things.
so everybody looked at it. Okay,
We just need the links put in.
right. And I'm hoping that Alexis will do that. And then I did also send out the updated, or what I thought was the updated summary sheets, which would be the Schedule 3, which is now an expenditures and transfers.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. So we're good.
Yeah, I think all the corrections were made and that filing type is on its own line now. That was a good.
Okay, good. All right. So any other questions, comments? Otherwise, we can go ahead and approve this, maybe.
Make Regina happy.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept the campaign fund report procedures and schedules as presented?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I move that
Uh,
we accept the edits to the campaign fund report and all the attachments, summary sheet and all the reports
Okay.
for the 2025 election or for this coming election.
Liam, did you have a question?
Yeah, it was just, I think there's like 2 edits on there that we should put that caveat in this motion, right? There's the edit for changing the language on the
Schedule 3.
transfers on the summary sheet when we talk about the transfers, and then also in Schedule 3, which it sounds like you have, and maybe it's just not the one that was presented to all of us.
Right. So, okay.
All right, so I move that we accept the campaign fund report as edited with the links added as noted and the changes made tonight
Second.
per what Liam said.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So Regina, I'll touch base with you and we can get this off to Alexis and get it done and then send something out to all the candidates. And happy to meet with any of the treasurers or field any of the calls, but we do have till August to have them. And actually this is going to be helpful because it's fillable where there others aren't. So they can download it and keep it going. So, okay. Debbie, I'm just going to put you under election when we talk about election calendar under discussion. I just want to give a quick update on our next agenda item. So I this is on the voter education communication plan. I just wanted to touch base with Mitchell in terms of kind of timeline and when she saw things starting to pop. And so she was also looking for that date for when the applications were going to go out. She didn't want to start doing things too early because she felt like if you start now, people kind of get inured to it. And so she's looking at really kind of revving things up come July earlier if need be. And so when did Regina say that so July 17th. So I'll let her know. So if the mail-in applications should be coming in July, then she can start getting that sent out. She was interested in talking with Teresa about looking at the website as far as some of the frequently asked questions. And so she said she may be contacting you about that. I didn't have anything specific. She just was, interested or willing to look at that. Because one of the things I've noticed with the website has a lot of really good information, but it's very focused right now on campaigns and candidates and not necessarily voters. So there's a lot of information down in frequently asked questions, but we might want to look at those and see if there's, for instance, people are asking, am I automatically going to get a mail-in ballot because I got one for the presidential election? And the answer is no. You have to apply. And I think that's something we really need to make people aware of. You're going to have to fill out an application and you're going to get an application in the mail. So as these deadlines start coming forth and we have more information at the MOU, we might want to add some. So she was interested in that. And so she's probably going to be giving you and Regina a call about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So that was all we had. She also was thinking of maybe sending out some press releases, particularly as regarding some of the code changes. That has been something that had been brought up to the Capitol in the past and hasn't been taken on, but I think it would be useful for people to know that there was changes with mail-in ballots and also with the opportunity for ballot questions. And so she was going to look into that also. Okay. Any questions, anything to get back to Mitchell about?
No, not at this time from me.
Okay. Debbie or Liam?
Good.
Okay. All right. Moving on to discussion. Okay, so Debbie had some things about the election calendar.
Yeah, I'm just, and Regina and Teresa would have to deal with this, but the deadline for voters to return the application for a mail-in ballot is Friday, September 12th. The election is Tuesday, September 16th. So am I understanding correctly that the application for a mail-in ballot can be received on Friday, the 12th, and then that ballot has to get out back to the voter so that they can have it postmarked by Tuesday, the 16th? It just seems very tight.
We got those dates from the county. They do it all the time, and David said that it would not be an issue. The turnaround is immediate.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done that before with absentee ballots. And I'm always amazed. People will come in, they'll be, what was it when Regina, we had someone walk in with like 165 applications. And people are given the opportunity to vote right then and there. So if they come into the election office with an application and it's verified, they can vote right then. Correct, Regina?
That is correct.
So in the past, it was always amazing to me when absentee ballots were requested. I would say only about 50% of them were actually returned. So it is tight, but the county does a good job of turning it around.
So someone can walk in with a batch of applications
Mhm.
and then they would get a ballot for each application.
Well, this was for in the past when you had absentee ballot applications. Somebody could bring in an application. They wouldn't get a ballot for each application. They would only get a ballot for their application.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then on the petition form, and I know we did, William Kuhn has already, do the names, and I don't think we checked this, but do the names have to exactly match? If someone's filling out a petition, do they have to fill out their name exactly as it is on the voter registration? Because I don't think we looked at that so much. You know, we looked to see if that name was registered on the rolls, and we looked to see if they were in the correct ward. But I don't think we matched up. We certainly didn't look at signatures, and I don't think we matched up the names that were on the petition, that they exactly matched the name on the voter registration. Did we?
Leah, maybe you can speak to it. My recollection is that we did, because we actually had a couple that we didn't accept because they might have been William Joseph Smith, and they put Joseph Smith. Now, if they put W.M. Smith, we kept it. But
So
I
as
mean,
long as the birth date, the address, you know, the name, like if I put Debbie Yatsuk instead of Deborah Bradbury Yatsuk, you would still take my petition.
if I recall correctly, we discussed that and as a group decided that we would accept something that was an obvious,
Right.
but that just goes to the point that if someone's doing a petition, you really need to encourage people to put the name that's on
Their voter registration. Right.
Do you have the same recollection, Liam, or do you differ?
Yeah, I think we accepted instances in where we could ascertain that it was the same name. It was a close nickname or something to that effect. In this instance where we're talking about a request for a mail-in ballot, it's my understanding that this would be the discretion of and the processes of Anne Arundel County, and we are not the ones adjudicating the names. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, Debbie, you were talking about petitions, but were you actually meaning applications?
No, I was talking about petitions, but it conveys to applications as well, I guess. But the petition is more of a legal, you're signing that you're a valid.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, it may or may not come up again. Right now, we don't have anything that looks like it's pending for a petition to come through. As far as an application, I think we'd have to look and see what the application says. I don't know offhand. My guess is it asks you to put in what your name is on your voter registration, but they're also mailing it to you, so they know what your name is. But we can certainly check it when it comes.
That's it for me. For now.
Okay, for now. Liam, anything? No.
Sorry.
Debbie?
So this is my first city election with you all. So I just can people get, like for state elections, you can find out who's requested absentee or who's requested mail-in ballots. And it's for campaigns to track
Mhm.
what's happening with that, who's voting, whatnot. It's common. Do we have that availability also for the city? I assume so. That campaigns, if they want to find out
That
who
goes
has
through,
voted, who has requested an application, who's returned a ballot, that type of thing.
that goes through the county.
Right. So does the county offers that for us?
Yeah, we've offered that in the past. They've offered that in the past, correct, Regina? I mean, I think that's a list that they have to buy.
Yes,
By the
it
way.
probably you have to buy it, but I assume that the city, even though the county is doing it, that they're going to offer what they would normally offer for an election of any election.
I believe that that's what they've done in the past. I don't know of any reason they wouldn't do it if they've done it in the past. Okay.
Is Regina, did you hear that, Regina?
Her mic is off, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not. Can you repeat? Would you mind repeating what you said?
Just can candidates purchase copies of who has requested mail-in ballots and and who's returning them, just to track like
I
they
don't-
would do at state and federal.
I'm not aware of that. I know that they can purchase voter lists, but
Yeah.
I'm not aware of a list of who turned in an absentee ballot or a
Okay.
mail-in ballot. I'm not aware, but I can ask.
But that's the voter list, isn't it? Or
The
you're just,
voter list just shows registered
oh,
voters.
you're right, you're
It
right.
doesn't show who did what.
Yeah, so I take that back. I was thinking just the voter list, but
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
I don't think
can you
I don't-
find out if because people are used to doing this for state and federal elections, tracking voter turnout, trying to drum up the voter turnout, trying to see how many are mail-in.
I think that the central committees have their own mechanism to do that, because I had a conversation with someone a couple weeks ago on the Democratic Central Committee that they have their own list that you can purchase from them. So I think that's where that stuff takes place, but I don't think it's something that the Anne Arundel County Board provides for you, but I can't be 100% certain. I'll check.
Right. No, so they can you buy it, but you have to buy it from the election processor. They would have to buy it from the county or the state, whoever's tracking all that. There's not I don't think there's another company or another source out there that has that information.
I'm pretty sure somebody told me, I'm not if it's at the state level or someone, they could buy the list from the Democrats or the Republicans.
Right.
So
But I think the
I don't
question
know.
might be is, are we going to have that available to us at the city level?
I doubt it,
They
but
may
I
not
will
make it.
ask David.
There have been things in the past where we've asked for certain things and they've said no, but we could
Yes.
ask and see if this is
I-
one of.
We might be talking by each other though here. I think Regina's talking about the lists of voters, and Debbie's question is about who has voted with a mail ballot and who has requested a mail ballot.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know if there's a mechanism that you could request or a way to request from the county who holds our voter information who turned in an absentee or mail-in ballot. I don't know. I've never seen a form for that. We have a form for a voter list that you can request from them, but not for one that details if a citizen turns in a mail-in ballot or not. I'm not aware of that.
Now, ballots are not going to be counted until we meet as the Board of Canvassers, and then those
Right.
numbers are available at the end of the canvass
Right.
each day. And that's just public record.
Yeah. But Debbie, I will send David an email and ask the question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? No. Any other announcements? Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'll be sharing an event about voter reforms in the city for informational purposes, if anybody's interested, and I'll share that by email after the meeting.
Okay. Who is putting that on?
It is being put on by Veterans for All Voters and Ranked Choice Voting Maryland. And it is a movie screening at the libraries.
Okay.
Oh, I saw that somewhere. I saw that on already listed somewhere.
All right, then maybe I don't need to share. I'll share it anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, share it anyway, but
Okay.
I forget where I saw it.
All right.
No.
All right. Anything else? Teresa, do you have anything you want to bring up?
No, Eileen, I have nothing.
Okay. Things getting busy in the election office?
Yes, yes, very much so.
Any particular questions that are coming?
Uh, Not really. Not that I can really say. The only thing I think you've already touched on was people concerned about ballots, mail-in ballots, and time frames.
Mhm. Okay. Well, as soon as we get that information, we can post it. So
Hmm.
as we get closer, things will start really picking up.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's good that people are I'm glad people are perking up about it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. So I'm glad we got the campaign fund report. and
Yeah.
Have a little bit of bumpiness,
What are
but
you gonna do with all your free time, Eileen?
it'll be okay. Well, that's been the problem. I haven't had as much free time as I thought I might have. That's why it's taken a while.
Can I just say one thing? Madeline, is Corinne trying to enter the meeting?
I have not seen her name. If she popped in and out, there's a chance I missed it.
Okay, because she said that she was trying to enter the meeting and she couldn't get in.
Okay, I haven't seen her name. Tell her to try again, and then you're also welcome to forward her my phone number so I can try and troubleshoot that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
We can wait a few minutes before adjourning if she.
Sure. Yeah.
Salute. It's exciting to see all the signs popping up around town. It's feeling like another election season, although it is in the fall. We've got a ways to go, I guess.
And soon we'll be getting complaints about those signs.
I haven't seen any yet in Ward 5.
Yeah, I've seen 8 and 1, which I guess that's because they're contested.
Yeah, primaries, yeah.
Couple of mayoral ones.
Mhm.
Now I don't have, maybe I didn't print out, I don't have like Camera O'Neill's, but she's done her certificate, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just didn't print some of them out, I guess.
Mhm.
3, 4.
We still don't have anybody in Ward 6.
Anybody running?
Right. No one's declared running.
Sure.
We have 3 in Ward 1, 2 in Ward 8, and 1 in the others except for 6, which doesn't have one.
Well, Ward 1 had the one pull out.
No, but there's still 3. There's 3 that have been approved.
So while we're just waiting, is there what's I guess if there is nobody that runs in a ward, what would happen at that point? I guess.
The central committee would probably have to step in and fill.
Okay.
Put in a candidate.
Mhm.
And
That's an
that would be
interesting
for
question, though.
the general election. they would nominate somebody to run in the general election.
It would be in the primary.
Right,
If
but
they
it's
were, if they
a-
ran unopposed, they would get elected in the primary. If you only have one candidate,
You skip the primary.
And
we
go
straight
right to the general. Right.
yeah. Well, oh yeah.
Yeah, there could be a write-in campaign in the general.
Yeah.
So somebody could mount, and that's happened before.
So from that perspective, in a lot of the races where there is not a Republican running in the primary, does the Republican Central Committee have an opportunity to nominate somebody?
Yes, they have a deadline also.
Okay.
It's a couple of days after the deadline for certificate of candidacy on July the 28th. It's in the calendar.
Gotcha. Thank you for that clarification. That's very interesting.
Mhm.
Madeline, have we heard from Miss Makel?
I have not.
Have you heard back, Regina?
No. So we can always reach out to her on Monday, and if she has any questions, we could ask her to put her questions in the form of an email, and we could send
Okay,
it.
and maybe just let her know that everything looked fine and she was approved.
Okay.
Okay, because we've waited several minutes. All right,
I have one more question. Is our meeting next month on the 15th?
I believe so. It's early.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
that a conflict for you?
No, actually the 22nd would be a conflict. So the 15th is good if that
Yeah,
is.
the 15th works. Yeah, it's the 3rd.
Okay.
All
Great.
right. All right, well, have a
Yes.
motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Okay, so all in favor of adjourning at 8:02?